Good morning. We have a special presentation and a guest here today and tomorrow to talk to us about a topic that is something that must be addressed, especially with teenagers, as it is the third leading cause of death amongst teenagers. And that topic is suicide and depression awareness. So we're going to spend the next 2 days talking about these topics. And before I introduce my guest, how I came upon her is one day I sat in my office and I basically just prayed. I was like, God, show me who this person is that's supposed to come speak to us. I don't know who that is. And so I prayed, and then I got online and I just Googled Christian counselor in Lubbock. And up popped our guest speaker. Her name is Dee Dee Long, and come to find out, she is lifelong friends with Mrs. Garrett. So that added comfort to my heart. I was like, okay, that's our speaker. Miss Long has spent 30 years in education, 12 years as a middle school counselor. She's a licensed professional counselor in the state of Texas. She works with teenagers, adults on all range of issues, self-esteem, depression, even anxiety. That's the big one, anxiety. And she's here today to talk to us. So we hope you enjoy and you get something out of this.
Okay. Woohoo. So I don't need to introduce myself. That's good. That's one thing checked off the list. Okay. This morning we're going to start with a video. And I think you're going to like it. Some of you might actually have seen this video before, and if you have, I'm asking you with all sincerity, do not comment before everybody has seen it, okay? Because it really matters in this video, all right? Go ahead and play it.
This is a test of selective attention. Count how many times the players wearing white pass the basketball. How many passes did you count? The correct answer is 15 passes. But did you see the gorilla?
But did you see the gorilla?
This video is from research by Daniel Simons and Christopher Chabris and is copyrighted.
Okay.
It is available for use in talks,
La, la,
training,
la,
and
la,
teaching
la, you can turn it
on
off.
DVDs from VizCog Productions.
The first time I saw that was in a class at Texas Tech. And of course I didn't see the gorilla. I honestly thought that they had edited it afterwards. So they had to go back, because there are a bunch of us that went, that wasn't there the first time. So we went back and played it all the way through, and when you're finally looking for the gorilla's there. So how many of you honestly will say, I did not see the gorilla? Okay, excellent. So usually that's about 50% of the audience. What is the point? The point is that when you're focusing really hard on something, you can miss other things that you would not believe you would miss, okay? So let's go ahead and get started. Today, I am here. I was going to lick my finger to pull the paper over and almost licked the microphone. Hold the floor. I promise you I did. I went, that's worth telling you about. Okay. You can go ahead and start the first slide. And if it's not there, I'll tell them what's there. It says depression and suicide. It's coming. And it also says, how do I help myself and how do I help a friend? If I get in somebody's way, say, move out of the way. I can't see. These days, the term depression is used a lot and kind of in ways that don't really mean depression. Like, oh, I'm so depressed. I made a 60 on that test. I'm so depressed. My parents are not going to get me the car I wanted. I'm so depressed. When what you really mean is I'm really disappointed, or I'm feeling down right now, or something on that order. So, what's the difference? What is real depression, and what's the difference in that and just normal sadness? Let's go to the next. There you go, the next slide. Is it depression or is it normal sadness? Well, if it's depression, to be diagnosed as depressed, you have to have about 5 out of 7 of these things. But you can still be sad if you only have 2 out of 7 of them. What are they? Read under depression. It must last more than 2 weeks and include feelings and behaviors that are new to you. This was not happening to you until you became depressed. Generally, you have feelings of hopelessness and helplessness. It's never going to be better, and I can't do anything about it. You'll have sleeping or eating changes. Many people do. You sleep too much or you don't sleep at all. You eat too much or you don't eat nearly enough. Nothing is fun. In fact, you can't even remember what fun feels like when you're truly depressed. It's like if I said, think about the taste of a lemon. Well, some of you can almost taste a lemon in your mouth when you say that. It's like thinking, I know I have eaten a lemon sometime, and I can't remember what it tastes like. That's what depression is like when it comes to fun. You have no energy. It takes more energy than you have to get up and walk across the room, because what's the point anyway? And a lot of times you'll have feelings of guilt or worthlessness. The guilt may be unfounded. You may just be guilting yourself. And worthlessness is really worse because that's more like shame. Guilt is, I did this thing that was wrong. Shame is, I am wrong. There's something wrong with me on the inside. Well, what's the difference in that and normal sadness? When you're sad, your feelings are usually related to a specific situation. You're sad about this, but you're able to enjoy things that are not connected to that. I made a really bad grade in this class, or the coach told me I needed to pull myself together. I am sad. But hey, we're going to my favorite place to eat supper tonight. I am not sad about that. You can have 2 kinds of feelings at the same time. There's not usually feelings of worthlessness and few feelings of guilt connected with grief and sadness, unless your guilt is what you're sad about. And it may be normal grief. Grief happens when you've had a loss. It might be someone stole something from you. It doesn't have to be death. But it, again, is one situation. And even people who are grieving hard about serious situations can laugh about other things. A depressed person really has a problem with that. So that's some really good info that maybe you didn't know before. That's great, but guess what? It doesn't matter, because if you're sad, you're sad. It doesn't matter if you don't have all 5 of the criteria to be diagnosed. You're sad. So what are you going to do about it? What can we do? Well, let me talk to you about why you're sad to begin with. Let's go to the next one. Satan's 2 biggest lies. Satan is alive and well and lives on planet Earth. He lies to us in 2 ways, probably in 10,000 ways, but we're going to talk about 2 of them. Number 1, it's always going to be this good. It is always going to be this good. Life is great, and I love it, and I'm happy, and it is fabulous. And it is always going to be this good. Okay, but guess what? Nah, maybe not, because his second biggest lie is it's always going to be this bad. When you're down, he tells you you're never getting up. It is bad. It is always going to be this bad. You have no power over it. It's going to stay this bad forever. And you believe it because it comes in your mind, and we believe everything we think. So what is the problem with that? The problem with that is those two thoughts lead you to believe something that is not normal. So what's normal? What's normal life? Normal equals what you should expect. What happens to most people? How is life for most people? Wait. Back up, please. One more. That's it. Nope. Right there. Normal, however, does not equal it's always happy, it's always easy, it's always comfortable, it's always convenient, and it's always predictable. So when Satan makes you believe that, no, let me back up a minute. See this chart? That's normal life. Normal life goes up and then it goes down. And we don't like the down places very much, but we like the up places pretty well, but then it's going to go back down because it's normal. If you expect that there are going to be low places, then you can also expect that those low places are going to go back up because it's normal life. Satan wants you to believe that you always get this or you always get that. When you believe that life is always going to be this good, it should always be at the top, then you set yourself up for shock and disappointment when the bad times come. When you believe that it's always going to be this bad, then you focus on the things that really stink in your life and you miss the gorilla, okay? The gorilla of goodness that is walking through your life is what you're going to miss when all you can think about is how horrible everything is. And it's always going to be this bad, and I don't have any power to do anything about it. You're going to miss the good things. Sometimes you have to require yourself to look for the good things. That's where we're going. You have to watch for the gorilla. So you need to question your negative thoughts. Don't believe everything you think. That's the next one we need to go. There you go. Don't believe everything you think. Did you know that we do? We just almost believe everything that comes in our heads. Except, next slide. There you go. You can't be trusted to tell yourself the truth. Again, especially when you're unhappy. Go ahead. So what do I actually do if I am sad or if I think I'm really depressed? Number one, stay in the Word of God. Go ahead. So what does the Word say? Well, in Jeremiah 29:11, which probably a lot of you know, it says, I know the plans I have for you. This is Ms. Long's paraphrase. Plans for good and not for evil, that you may have hope for your future. Hope for your future. You mean he doesn't intend for you to be hopeless and helpless? Okay. John 10:10 says, I've come that you might have life, or they might have life, and that they might have it more abundantly. He's not talking about money. He's not talking about stuff. He's talking about your heart, that you have satisfaction, fullness in your heart, and a sense of purpose and being needed and useful in life. Ephesians 1:6 says he's made us accepted in the beloved. One of the things that makes people your age saddest the fastest and will keep you sad for the longest time is when you feel unaccepted, when you feel rejected or abandoned, especially by friends. I'm not telling you that verse should make you happy. I'm telling you that verse is true, that if you're a Christian, you are accepted in the beloved. And some of these other people just need to get a grip, you know. They just going to have to figure out that you really are a great person. They just can't see it. Okay, Matthew 11:28. Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. This is only 4 verses. There are probably 400 verses that I could have put up here. What does he want you to do? He wants you to believe it, and he wants you to come to him so he can give you rest from your burdens. So where does that leave you? Well, that leaves you with, do I believe that or not? In that case, you've got 3 choices. It's either true because God said it and it's true, or it's a lie and God's a liar. No, because that's Satan. Satan is the father of lies. So that would have to mean it was coming from Satan, not from God. The only other choice I know of is, or there is no God, and the guys that wrote the Bible were just a bunch of crazy guys who changed the world. Just let that roll around in your head a little bit. A bunch of crazy guys changed the whole world. Really? It's easier for me to believe that it's really true. Okay, next slide. So, think about what you're thinking about. Have you ever thought about what you were thinking about? There's a term for that. It's called metacognition. Humans are the only creation who can think about what they're thinking about. So think about what you're thinking about. When you're sad, what am I telling myself? What is it that's rolling over in my head over and over like a CD on repeat, over and over and over? Is it true, or am I believing a lie? Scale it. Is it true? Can I prove it's true? Do I have any evidence that this horrible, sad thought I have is true? Maybe it is true. Okay, how bad is it? Get you a scale that's your catastrophe scale, okay? And I'm really not kidding. Scale catastrophe, what's a 10? 0 to 10. 0 is the happiest, I got no problem whatsoever. 10 is, this is the worst catastrophe I can think of. For me, it's everybody in my family dies but me. Okay, that's 10. So what's a 9? What's an 8? What's a 7? Work your way back down to whatever this problem is. Most people go, it's about a 2 or a 3. Okay, so are you giving a 2 or a 3 an 8's worth of attention, an 8's worth of worry, an 8's worth of energy? You need to think about what you're thinking about. Are you missing the gorilla of goodness because you're focusing so much on the thoughts that make you sad? What else helps? Do things you used to enjoy, even if you don't feel like it. Get plenty of exercise, even if you don't feel like it, because exercise releases chemicals in your brain that make you go, that's not so bad. I kind of like that. Get plenty of sleep, because when you don't get good sleep, you become irrational, and people who are depressed are a little bit irrational to start with, so that just sort of stirs the pot. Eat carefully. You've heard probably when it comes to computers, trash in, trash out. Well, it's the same thing with your brain. Trash in, trash out. You got to be careful what you eat. One of the most important things is help somebody else. It gets your focus off of you and onto someone else, and it gives you a sense of usefulness and purpose in life. The last two are, see a counselor. They pay Ms. Powell big bucks around this place. You need to make her work, okay? And if you don't want to go to somebody connected to school, call me. I'll give you a whole bunch of names. There are a bunch of really good counselors in Lubbock, Texas. Also, if you have been truly depressed for a long time, really to me more than 2 weeks, and usually if it's true depression it lasts a long time, then you need to go to the doctor. And perhaps that doctor will give you a really good, excellent medication for a brief period of time. That's up to the doctor, but there are some and they work well. Okay, so what do I do if it's my friend? Well, you act. ACT. Acknowledge the problem. If they look like they're sad, say, you look like you're sad. If they say, my life stinks, or some other word that sort of goes along with that, you say, Tell me about that. And when they tell you, you don't go, well, dadgum, I sure hope things go better for you, and you walk away. No, nay. Even the Bible says you don't do that, okay? You acknowledge the problem, and then you care for them. And there's two ways you care. One is you say, I'm really sorry you're sad. I would be sad in that situation. I really want you to feel better. By the way, I have no idea how long I've gone. You need to give me a time limit. Tell me when 2 minutes. I got 4 minutes left. I can do it. Okay. One way you care for them is tell them you care, and if you get a whiff of really serious sadness, you ask them, are you thinking about killing yourself? You go, well, but wait, I can't do that because what if I give them an idea and then they do? No. If they're that sad, they're thinking, they may not have any intention to do it, but they've thought about it. Everybody's kind of thought, well, if I were going to, how would you? No. You're not going to give them an idea. You need to know how serious is this, and then you tell. The T stands for tell. Because you, at your age, have no power to do anything for them. You have no power to help them except to be kind. If they are beyond kindness and you cannot make that call, you have to tell an adult who can take that burden from you. Because here's the worst case scenario. They say, don't tell anybody, and you say, okay, I won't. And you don't. And they kill themselves. And you're thinking, I knew and I didn't do anything. That's a whole lot worse than telling when they ask you not to. Okay? So, let's look. One more thing. Here's what we're going to do. You're going to go to class, and some of you may have questions. This may have brought up a whole bunch of thoughts in your head. We're going to go to class when I'm finished, and your teacher is going to allow you to write a question for me, and tomorrow I'm going to answer those questions. Do not put your name on it. I don't care what your name is. I'm not interested in who's doing it, okay? Don't put your name on the question. I'm not going to read it. I don't care. But here's the thing. If you really have a question, you probably don't want anybody looking over your shoulder to read your question. So everybody, go to the next slide. Everybody that does not have a question is going to write this on their sheet of paper. I do not have a question for Mrs. Long at this time. You're not going to write no questions because I want everybody to start at the same time, and I want everybody writing long enough so that those who have questions can write their question and in privacy. Okay? You get it? I do not have a question for Mrs. Long at this time. And teachers, if you have the time and the inclination to separate those, fine. If you don't, I'll do it. It's not a big deal. Tomorrow I will come back. We're going to start with a video. We're going to have a couple of surprises, and then we'll answer questions. Thank you. You're a great audience. Thank you.